Let's study a bit of Guru Padmasambhava's biography today. Tomorrow we'll do chalk offering, so there won't be time. Wherever we study to today, that will be considered the last class of biography this year. At that time, the emanation King Trisong Detsen wished to propagate the Buddha Dharma in the Tibetan region, so he invited Khenpo Bodhisattva, called Śāntarakṣita Shiwatso, or the Master Dharma Shantigosa. He stayed in a silk tent on the top floor of Lungchuk Palace. Within 4 months he taught the Dharma, starting with the 10 virtuous deeds, the 12 links of dependent origination, and the 18 constituents. As a result, this provoked the anger of the Tibetan region's demons and spirits. Water flooded Puntang Palace and lightning struck Marpori. This should be the mountain where the Potala is now. It's called Red Mountain, Marpori. It caused people and livestock throughout the land to fall ill, and very severe frost and hail appeared. At that time, it was still just the beginning in the Tibetan region, because at that time when Chan Buddhism was flourishing in the mainland, it also encountered various kinds of obstacles. It caused all the Tibetan people to criticize, saying this was caused by practicing the Dharma, believing they could no longer practice the Dharma. At that time, they all blamed the king, feeling that many inauspicious things appeared, all caused by the Buddha Dharma. It was quite troublesome. The king, bringing Salnang and 5 of his Buddhist ministers, visited Śāntarakṣita 3 times. When they arrived before Śāntarakṣita, they spoke very tactfully, saying, "We offer 1 Tibetan measure of gold dust and request that the master temporarily go to Nepal. You came from Nepal, so please return now. Things are too troublesome on my side." This king will guide the ministers through council meetings and distributing stipends. He said, because the ministers now are also very troublesome, so I probably can't mediate for the time being. Please go back temporarily. I'll slowly negotiate and discuss with them, and also give them some bribes or gifts. Actually, regarding the king, at that time King Trisong Detsen had an uncle. This uncle was someone devout in the Tibetan region's indigenous religion. His power was extremely great. When King Trisong Detsen was young, he had no power at all. Moreover, at that time, he personally launched some movements to destroy Buddhism. This is recorded in history. The king's uncle played a very major role in destroying Buddhism throughout the Tibetan region. At that time, many things, including Vairocana, including Guru Padmasambhava, later driving him back, Śāntarakṣita driving him back, many things were related to the history of that time. If you open up the history of that time, many things become quite clear. Yes, part of this is also in the testament of Ba. At that time he said, I can probably only think of a way to entice the ministers first. I definitely won't prevent the Tibetan people from practicing the Dharma. Actually, King Trisong Detsen truly was an emanation of Manjushur. Moreover, he himself was very principled. No matter what, it's temporarily like this. I definitely won't prevent Tibetans from believing in Buddhism. I must let the Tibetan people believe in Buddhism. When the time comes that the Dharma can be practiced, I will invite you back. At that time he also said this. Then Śāntarakṣita replied, to subdue the fierce gods and demons of the Tibetan region, you must primarily invite Guru Padmasambhava. He is now in this world the most powerful Vidyadhara. At that time he recommended inviting Guru Padmasambhava. Of course, regarding inviting Guru Padmasambhava, in some histories there are also some different accounts. Perhaps at that time they sent other people. There are such accounts. In addition, it's necessary to present a handful of gold dust to the king of Nepal. As for the king of Nepal, now it's probably still like this. In Nepal, including when leaving the country, anyway, when they handle matters there, originally it was gold dust, now it's money. It's still very important. At that time, Śāntarakṣita came from there. Let them... Perhaps Guru Padmasambhava also needed to request leave. The king needed to agree for him to come. For him to come, they should still bring some gold dust to the king of Nepal. After saying this, he accepted a handful of gold dust. He gave the remainder to the king. He himself accepted a little bit of gold dust, perhaps Śāntarakṣita's travel expenses and such. Then he gave the rest to him, to ask that king to find a way to give it to the king of Nepal when the time comes. On the surface, it seemed Śāntarakṣita was expelled. At that time, he wasn't allowed to stay there, so he went up. He also went back. Śāntarakṣita traveled upward and away. Yangdrona and Salnang, these two, escorted him to Nepal. These two went to see him off. It seems to be in the supplementary edition of the Testament of Bathat. It's discussed. At the time of Kāśyapa Buddha, there were 3 children. They built a stupa out of sand, then made aspirations before the stupa. In the future, in a borderland where the Dharma doesn't flourish, we will propagate the Buddha Dharma. When propagating the Dharma, one child made the aspiration, "At that time I will be the king and I will uphold the Dharma." Then another child said, "At that time I want to be a Pandita. I will mainly propagate using the Buddha Dharma." Then another child, he was the youngest, he said, "Well, if you're going to be the king and one be the Pandita, then I'll be that. In current terms, the errand runner. I'll be your messenger, your attendant. I'll be that." So these 3 children, later one was King Trisong Detsen, one was Śāntarakṣita, and then another one, Ba Salnang, the author of the Testament of Ba, we discussed yesterday. He was that other child. So these 3 had a past life karmic connection for propagating the Dharma and benefiting beings throughout the Tibetan region. There's such a history. When it's convenient, look at this. Previously, there was a supplementary edition. I don't know if it can be found now. Moreover, this Ba Salnang, wasn't he one of the first 7 ordained monks in Tibet? And at that time, in the beginning, Śāntarakṣita was the Khenpo of Samyé monastery. He stayed there for a period of time. Later, after Śāntarakṣita departed, Ba Salnang became Samyé's second abbot. Śāntarakṣita's skull is now also stored in Samyé monastery. Many people often can pay homage. If you all go to Samyé monastery in the future, see if you can pay homage. On the return journey, Ba Salnang was again dispatched as a Dharma master. He brought 30 attendants to go to the Han region for the Dharma. Later, that Ba Salnang became Gyalra. Then the Tibetan king convened the ministers. Finally, they reached consensus on practicing the Dharma. During those days before inviting Guru Padmasambhava, all the emissaries received, when he went, generous rewards from the Han emperor. The emperor was very powerful. Ba Salnang was also remarkable. And bringing gifts for the Tibetan king, tens of thousands of bolts of silk and brocade, they returned. He brought so much. At that time, it should have been, during King Trisong Detsen's time, whether with Nepal or with the Han region, historically relations were relatively good. After that, Ba Salnang went to Nepal to invite Śāntarakṣita and Guru Padmasambhava. Śāntarakṣita was invited back a second time. Perhaps now the situation was better. Ba Salnang also brought some things from the Han region. As for those ministers, perhaps the situation slowly eased. Regarding this period recorded in the Testament of Ba, Bodhisattva and Guru Padmasambhava, and one master craftsman for building the monastery, these 3 prepared to come to the Tibetan region. At that time, Guru Padmasambhava and Bodhisattva, plus another Nepali craftsman, they came. Bodhisattva quickly arrived via the main road. He returned via the main road. Guru Padmasambhava and the craftsman, plus a Nepali stonemason. Just now it was 3 people. Later, perhaps they brought along a stonemason on the road. Was the craftsman a carpenter? Craftsman, carpenter, stonemason. Now there are no cement workers, and steel reinforcement workers couldn't have existed either. These 3, along their journey, subdued non-human beings everywhere. In some histories it says that Guru Padmasambhava, why didn't he travel together with Śāntarakṣita? Actually, when he set out, he had a definite plan to subdue these non-human beings and earth deities of the Tibetan region. Because in the Tibetan region, originally, they were truly very rampant. So slowly, they promised to become Dharma protectors. Guru Padmasambhava had a definite plan, so he didn't travel together with him. Another section of the Testament of Ba recounts going to invite Bodhisattva. He quickly arrived at Drenzang and advised the king that it would be best to invite Guru Padmasambhava to subdue demons and spirits. According to the records, the Tibetan king sent Ba Salnang to go invite him. After Padmasambhava learned of this, he arrived at Mangyul. Mangyul is Kyirong. Now it seems to be Kyirong County. Mangyul is Milarepa's homeland. Now isn't it the Nepal Pass? It's right there. The Nepal port is there. Actually the most crucial part of the Himalayas. A special feature of the north-south plateau, some say that in this short section, the scenery of all 4 seasons, spring, summer, autumn, winter, is present. It's very special. Previously, including for other great masters, the entire thoroughfare from the Tibetan region to Nepal is that place. Other places are very difficult to cross. So this is Mangyul. Although the 2 above accounts differ, the author believes the former is more reasonable. When Guru Padmasambhava came from the Kyirong area, the spirits of the Tibetan region at that time also brought down torrential rain and snowstorms, and all the mountain passes were completely blocked. All his retinue fell behind. Guru Padmasambhava went ahead first. Perhaps at that time he brought a few people. He passed through the mountain crevices. At that time, avalanches and such, he didn't care at all. He passed directly through miraculous powers. Then he bound and subdued those spirits. Regarding subduing spirits in the Tibetan region, truly Guru Padmasambhava's power is inconceivable. So if we make offerings to Dharma protectors while praying to Guru Padmasambhava, actually it's very helpful for one's own practice. I also hope that many of us ourselves still have some protectors we make offerings to long term. Perhaps it's very important for all aspects. People sometimes need the protection of non-human beings. If people are harmed by non-human beings, it's very difficult to prevent. From that time on, he gradually tamed all the non-human beings along the way, and he did quite a few things directing water into rivers and waterways. At that time, Guru Padmasambhava on one hand subdued spirits and on the other hand did some, in current terms, social welfare work. Okay, let's stop here.
Om